Okay, now we're going to move on to our first value drawing from observation. So this worksheet is giving you 4 different forms to begin to draw. So a form is a 3-dimensional object where it appears that it has height and width and depth. So the grading rubric is printed above, and let's read that before you start to draw. So number 1 says draw big to fill the space of the rectangle below by trying to make the forms the same size as the printed image. Number 2, accurately draw the contour lines first. These are the edges that make up the object, and use a ruler to draw straight lines if you need to. So your contour lines are going to be the circle, the outside edge of the cube, the outside edge of the cylinder, and then this cone shape. Number 3, after you've drawn the contour lines, observe your drawing to that of the objects above and make corrections for accuracy. So when you draw that contour, is it similar in size and placement and line direction? If not, erase it and correct that. Number 4, add value to represent the highlights and the dark shadow areas on the surface of the object and the light source shining on the object, which is going to create the shadow. So after you do the contour, you're going to add in all the gray values on the object and under the object. It says look at your scale map and work with similar number and letter of pencil. Your value should be accurate. So this is the map I'm talking about. Here's how you can use this as a tool to help you select a pencil for a similar gray tone that you see in your image. Remember that you can press harder to get darker values or softer to get lighter values, or just switch out your pencil entirely. And then remember to use the side of your pencil when you do your shading, shade in the same direction and inside the lines so that you are neat and show good craftsmanship. So now we're going to go ahead and start this. So the first thing I'm going to do is select a middle grade pencil, like maybe my 2B pencil, just a green one, to do my contour lines, because I don't want my contour lines super dark. And if I want things to be accurate, I might begin by creating some guidelines where I might lightly sketch lines breaking up this space so I know the sphere fits here, the cube, the cylinder, and the cone. Then, just like our other drawing assignments we did previously, you can look at negative space and draw marks to help you know where to fit that object. And this might be the edge of my cylinder. So now, as best as I can, I'm going to try and draw a circle that hits those marks. And you might sketch it out with sketchy lines to begin with and then smooth it out when you do your shading. Okay, and now I'm going to get my shadow in place. So for me, that is my starting contour line. So now I'm going to check that contour, make corrections as needed, and now I'm going to begin to add my values. And this is where I'm going to use my map to help. So I know that I want my lightest values here. So I might choose my 2H pencil. And some helpful things when you start to do your shading, again, use the side of the pencil, and I like to shade kind of in these circular overlapping directions when I'm doing a rounded object. So I'm trying to get these lines to fade and blend away. So I'm going to look at this edge here and kind of the direction that makes, and I'm using very light hand pressure to keep my value really light. Alright, so now I'm going to move into kind of my middle gray. So I'm going to look at my map and decide which pencil would be good for my middle grays. And my middle grays are actually over here on the opposite side. So I think I'm going to work with a 2B, which is the green one. And over here is where I see some middle gray, so I'm just going to lightly shade that in following the contour edge of my object. And now I'm going to start to add in my darker values. So in the center, here's my darkest value on the object, and then of course my shadow. So I think I'm going to work with my 4B pencil, which is this second row, to get kind of these dark tones here, because I know my shadow needs to be the darkest. So I'm going to use my 6B for my shadow. But now what I'm going to do is come in and start to layer in my darks. So this is my base layer right here. And when I look at my drawing, that is not as dark as this. So now I need to change my hand pressure and start to layer, 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 press harder to build up the darks. And if you notice, I don't see a lot of scratchy marks. I don't see the direction the pencil was drawn in because it's all smoothed out from using the edge of my pencil. I might go a little harder and darker in this center here. Okay, and now I'm going to go to my shadow, which is going to be my red pencil, my 6B pencil, because that shadow is almost black underneath. So now I'm going to press hard, making sure I stay in my contour line. Okay, and now I might switch over to my eraser, and I'm going to clean that eraser. The way you clean an eraser is just erase on white paper. So I've got a clean eraser, and now I'm just going to clean up the outside edges around my sphere because I drew in a sketchy motion. So now I want to make those edges a little smoother and less choppy and sketchy. And I might go back to my pencil to also smooth that out. Okay, so then I would proceed in a similar manner doing the cube, the cylinder, and the cone. Start by measuring guidelines to figure out how big to draw this, how to get it to fit within your printed space here. And then I'm just going to start to sketch my contour edge. So this is like a diamond. And we have a straight edge here. And I'll have rulers available for you if you need rulers. And then I need to fit in my shadow off to the side over here. Okay. Then I'm going to do something similar with my cylinder. And get these guides in place. I'm going to sketch this shadow first. Top of this is like an oval. Straight edges here. The bottom of this is curved because it's a cylinder. And then my cone. Okay, and then I would go back in and add my value just like I did on my sphere. So make sure you're reading your rubric as you go. Be slow, be accurate, because accuracy matters with this assignment.